Thank you. And you tell us when to start.
When to drink.
So the mic is now on. This is on.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back. If you could please take your seats. And before we start, just a quick announcement. It seems that a passport got lost. So if anyone finds it, please leave it on the entrance. So we have now an interview with Mrs. Alessandra Tonazzi from the OECD and Mr. Adano Wario, Acting Director General of the Competition Authority of Kenya. Thank you.
Again, for the opportunity to interview Adano Roba. He is the Acting Director General of the Competition Authority of Kenya. And thank you, Adano, for accepting the interview. So the Competition Authority of Kenya is one of the most active and respected agencies in the region. And there are lots of things that I would like to ask you, but because we have a very short time, just 15 minutes, I would like to focus on one issue, and this is your activity in the digital economy. So the Competition Authority of Kenya is a pioneer in East Africa, and indeed I hear that Kenya is known as the Silicon Savannah. So I would like to ask you first, in deciding the kind of work of the agency, why the digital economy?
Thank you very much, Alessandra, and thank you very much to ICN community for the invitation and the opportunity to speak in this forum. Competition Authority is about 10 years old, and for the last 10 years, the telecommunication sector has grown 11% on an annual basis. And therefore, the three components of digital financial system, that's the e-business infrastructure, and e-commerce, they were concerned around issue of barrier to entry within the sector, and therefore the authority find it important to prioritize those sectors and see if there are competition compliance issues in those sectors. And those are the priorities with wider impact on the society that we thought we should address through the competition law.
And to address these issues, you have done some studies into USSD, which I understand is technology allowing the exchange of data, and on the digital credit market. And I would like to hear about these studies and also about their outcome.
Thank you very much. Within the digital platform and digital markets, the authority carried out an inquiry into the USSD platform in terms of access to financial services by mobile network providers. What the authority set out to do was to find out any evidence of price fixing, discriminatory pricing, and abuse of dominance in the telecommunication sector. And therefore, what we did was to do a market inquiry in collaboration with the telecommunication companies and financial services to see if there are barriers to entry. And we did find that within the pricing, the dominant mobile provider was setting prices which were not accessible to other providers. And two, there were certain discriminatory price fixing and terms that they were setting in place together with the providers at the lower downstream market. And thirdly, they were abusing their power because that's the player with the wider market outreach, and therefore they had wider network and also infrastructure in terms of providing financial services to the Kenyan population. And therefore there were issues around the money transfers in the telecommunication sector, and transfer of money using the handset, the mobile, and also the platform providers, the banks, financial institutions. And these three interconnection between the telecommunication sector, banking sector, and the wallet transfers were of key concern to the authority. And in 2016, we carried out an inquiry where we did actually establish that the prices set by the most dominant mobile operator was much higher than the other providers. And two, they were also restricting the arrivals in the sector from servicing or accessing their services because there was lack of interoperability between the companies. And thirdly, the prices were very high for the dominant firm, which they were able to set because of their market power. And therefore, what we did to establish was to reduce, through our intervention, the price of mobile access per season by 90% through that intervention. And secondly, through negotiation with the telecom companies, we were able to break the barrier or entry between mobile interoperability by ensuring that they agree on terms and conditions of accessing the services through the wallet money transfer. And we also ensured that there was disclosure of transaction costs when customers were paying for services such as banking services, as well as paying for utilities. Therefore, we ensured that disclosure is observed, and two, there was also interoperability within the telecommunication sector.
Thank you for this very clear explanation. And this is a follow-up question. Based on what you discovered during these studies, what do you see as the key competition concerns that need to be addressed in competition policy or also in legislation in Kenya?
As a follow-up to the market inquiry in the financial services, we also undertook financial inquiry in the digital credit market. That's another inquiry that we saw that with increase in high interest rates in traditional banking system, we found that the digital platforms were charging much higher rates than the normal banks. The banks were basing their rates on annual basis. However, we did realize through consumer complaints that most of those digital services or digital lenders were providing interest rates on monthly basis. And because of the speed of payment and also effectiveness in paying for those loans, most customers were preferring to pay for the digital loans. But however, they didn't realize that the digital rates for loans were not annualized, and they are on annual basis, not on annual basis. Therefore, if you annualize the monthly rate for digital loans, they were going to the tune of 300, 400. Yet the annual rate for commercial loans was going for 15%, 20%. So through that inquiry, we were able to bring some of the non-regulated digital platforms under the purview of the central bank, and they became regulated. And the way we did was to advise the Central Bank of Kenya that there will be provisions in the amendment of the law, which we provided through advisory opinion, for them to include those provisions for digital lenders to be regulated under the central bank in the amendment to the Act. And that was brought on board and was effectively done through our inquiry that informed the process.
I think this is an example of a very virtuous relationship between the competition agency and then the regulator, in this case the central bank, in providing advice for regulation which is more pro-competitive.
That's right.
In general, I would like to ask what lessons from your experience you would like to share with other competition agencies, especially younger ones, because we know that maybe for younger ones tackling these digital economy issues might be more difficult.
From our enforcement and consumer welfare enforcement, what we have seen is what is more beneficial is for competition agencies, even younger ones, to collaborate more effectively and cooperate with sector regulators. Whereas we are national regulators in the wider economy, there are sector-specific regulators, may that be utility, telecommunication, financial, aviation. There are sector regulators which are more important, that working together, we are able to deliver better on the competition front, not only on consumer issues, but able to deliver better on competition front. The other aspect that we have seen is that independence of functionality, not financially, but independent of our decision, that objectively executed enforcement decisions is able to deliver better enforcement outcome in terms of ensuring that the authorities' decisions are not objected by any influences from outside the authority. And thirdly, what I'll see as an important outcome is that once you become objective, you also become predictable through time and transparent in dealing with the stakeholders. There are so many stakeholders who are interested in what the authority does now and in the past and also moving forward. That predictability, once the authority remains objective, is more important in terms of ensuring that there's more compliance in the market, as opposed to when you penalize through administrative remedies or even cartel cases. So we do see that being predictable creates visible image out there for other stakeholders to approach on competition matters, as opposed to when you work alone, you'll be less effective, less predictable, but when you're objective and also work with others, you are able to deliver more on competition and consumer welfare.
I think something that has been discussed also, I think today in other sessions, is what kind of skills in the agency you should have to tackle this kind of issues. So I was just curious in the case of your agency, and because this is an issue for bigger agency, but especially for younger and smaller agency, what kind of skills you have to tackle, for example, for the market studies that you did?
For the inquiries and also for the cartels cases that we have done in the past, there are several skill sets that are required. One is on economics in terms of providing evidence for inquiry and also setting out parameters in the methodology of how to carry out an inquiry. And two, enforcement that we have learned over the years, even through ICN products, have been very instrumental in providing basis for us or even benchmarking with our decision. And also merger analysis and merger reviews. We have learned a lot from learning from ICN products in the past, and we have pursued any entrant into the market. We always introduce them to those products for them to get started on the basis of competition, and therefore be more critical in terms of what are the competition arms that might be there in a given sector. Of course, the legal aspect is also important in terms of when the matter before the authority has been decided on and the authority has made decision on its findings, there will be litigation matters that need to be presented before a court of law or even a tribunal for that matter. So legal skills are extremely important. And also in the recent part, what we have seen is that ICT technologists and statisticians are becoming more and more important. And not only skill sets at the point of entry, what we see as very important for the staff or employees is not only teamwork, but also upscaling, training that regularly updates on emerging areas of competition and challenges that can be learned from other jurisdictions. So we have seen that not only entering into the authorities' competition realm, but also seeing that there are more areas of competition enforcement and also learning from other mature jurisdictions.
Thank you. I think this is very helpful for other agencies. And I have one final question. Kenya will be hosting the ICN Advocacy Working Group workshop in February 2024. So tell us what to expect.
Thank you very much. And I would like to thank also again the ICN for giving us the opportunity. We are very delighted in seeing that we welcome you all to Nairobi in February 2024. What we have done is we have put all the preparation in place, and we want to see how best can advocacy contribute to competition enforcement, and what is the goal of competition enforcement in contributing towards sustainability. We have invited a number of agencies across the globe. You are most welcome to Nairobi. And also we have regionally invited other competition agencies like COMESA and East African Community. We have seen that it's also important to bring government agencies on board for the policy direction with regard to competition, as well as bringing on board sector regulators who have different roles in the way that competition and other regulatory laws interface with competition. I know that even Energy Regulatory Authority in Kenya, there are certain provisions that allows them to consult the competition authority on matters of competition in energy sector. So for that purpose, we have seen that it's important for us to bring all these parties on board and see how best can we ensure that advocacy contribute to a better competition, not only in Kenya, but also in the region. And you're all welcome to that forum in February.
Well, with this, I wish you all success with your workshop, and please join me in thanking Adano Roba for... Okay. I think we can...